I'm gonna probably
Okay.
it's live.
Turning to live. And we are live, ladies and germs. Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I am joined by my co-host, who's not hopefully freezing down in the middle of Texas, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Bites.
Hey y'all, how's it going? And again, by the way, happy belated New Year and all that to those who celebrate, and happy Lunar New Year as well. And by the way, as far as what am I trying to say? I'm all shadow brained here. We got Jay Wolf from Southern California watching this right now and being a part of the panel. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, bros? How you guys doing? Thank you very much for having me again on here. I can't wait to do the show with you guys. The We Are Rising podcast, Soccer Kick Awards for 2022. I love it.
Yeah, I guess you can basically say that this is our year-end review, and this is sort of like our award show, but unlike the Oscars, nobody will get physical. Unlike the Oscars or Dana White's stupid league, nobody's gonna get slapped.
And also, unlike other places, we actually do them when the year ends. I'm so tired of awards happening before the year ends. That's not supposed to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and I got a couple that are on there to highlight this exact point. So this is excellent. I can't wait to get this show started with you guys.
But unfortunately, one thing I do have to remind, when we do these awards, people are wondering, like, hey, you're missing a certain show that drew 50,000 people to the Tokyo Dome. Unfortunately, the match is disqualified because, let's be honest, it would everything almost, right? Do we all agree?
Well, it's a kick fight. It's a kickboxing event. It's not mixed martial arts, so.
I mean, it was basically a full-blown revival of the old school K1, which would have meant something back in 2002, not so much in 2022, except for the fact that Tenshin and Takaru got it on.
No, it was huge. Jay Krish, it was huge. They scored hundreds of thousands of pay-per-view buys, sold out 50,000 attendance. It was huge. It was definitely combat sports events of the year. But for this show, for the Soccer Kick Awards, it's disqualified because of, it's a kickboxing event and not a mixed martial arts event.
And the fact that
it's true. It would win everything, honestly.
That and the fact that people outside of Japan could not be able to see it.
Yeah.
Well, now they can. Now they can because you can find the fights on Rise's YouTube channel. So no excuse not to.
And K1's YouTube channel, and Shootboxing's YouTube channel, and Rise Kickboxing's YouTube channel.
But I mean, while we're here to celebrate and Rising of 2022, just want to quickly get your thoughts. Jay Wolf, overall, how did Rising do in 2022 in your eyes?
Excellent. It was fantastic. Exactly like I was telling you guys. Remember, I was saying that year we were kicking down the door to the new golden era. Remember? And that's exactly what happened in 2022. Right at the very end, New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. I just finished kicking down the door to the new golden era, bros. It's just, it feels like it's here. I mean, look at where we're at right now. There's the lineal heavyweight UFC champion is out in free agency in the wild right now. Okay. Nate Diaz possibly could be signed by Epic Rising. We're getting all these big name free agents happening there, and not to mention the just super show, the collaboration mega event that just happened between the number 2 promotion Bellator and Epic Rising. It was so big. It was a Pride Bushido level event, and it was just so much freaking fun. And we're just getting started, bro. It's like I was saying, that's just kicking down the door to this new golden era. So I think they had a fantastic 2022 AD.
Jay Krish, your thoughts on Rising 2022?
Aside from the fact that they basically tried to make it so hard for us not to watch or not to follow. I mean, I think there were a few times in the last year where we didn't do a show because of it. I mean, Rising 2022 has just been, it's been like a car crash, so to speak. It's like
What?
so gruesome and violent, but because of the excitement of it all, you just couldn't look away.
Oh, God. Come on, there was huge stuff that happened.
I
Besides the New Year's
know,
Eve
I know.
collaboration mega event, the landmark Cage series is back, and the pandemic restrictions were lifted. International fighters are back.
Mhm.
I
I
mean,
know, but it's because of the fact that there was also a whole, ton of controversy, so to speak, because you had sponsors getting pulled away due to scandals. Shout out to Sogukaku for that one. You
yeah, well,
had
they got those scandals turned out to be Sakaki Barasan got completely exonerated in those supposed scandals. You see the news that
no,
happened?
I'm talking about the whole Trigger series thing.
Oh, that was just some lady trying to. That doesn't matter. Trigger series is now landmark, and it's awesome. The landmark 4 event was happening in 2022. That was an event of the year candidate, and it's
Yeah, but
we'll talk about that in the show.
as I was saying though, you had the Trigger series controversy. You had Fuji TV cutting ties with Sakaki Bar because of Yakuza concerns. And oh, by the way, you had one of the most famous boxers in the world being disrespected by a low level Japanese alderman, so to speak, on
Oh,
an
that was great.
international stage.
That was fantastic. You didn't like that?
And you know what? I guess that kind of spoils the fact that I probably might be talking about this for worst fight or promotional tactic of the year, but still, for everything that Rizin done good, I mean, like for instance, you had the Bellator show. You're probably gonna have a show in the summer in Hawaii.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
for every good thing that they've done, I mean, especially over the last month or so, there has to be the bad that outweighs that. And, I think it's going to probably be, I mean, as long as they can tone down on the car crash quality of stories that they got coming out the load, and we can actually see the events, not just on Fight TV, but if they leave Fight TV and go to this premier streaming network thing that just came out, it would be a big win for Rizin. But other than that, 2022 for Rizin is, as you say, 2022 for Rizin, as you say, Jay Wolf, was pretty epic. And I hope to see more of Rizin, getting their comeuppance in 2023.
Absolutely.
So I'll just quickly say, I think Rizin had a pretty rough beginning of the year pre-match. And I think after the match, I do say that the match kind of feels like a series finale for combat sports. I kind of say that in jest, but I think that they definitely did a lot better post-match stuff. Like you said, Jay Wolf, they did bring in foreign fighters, restrictions were lifted. I think that helped a lot.
Oh yeah.
The having the Amway tournament as well was definitely was a highlight at the beginning, at least. When they brought in people like Aguilar and Fontura, who we'll be talking about later, and Steskivga. But there was also there was some like really compelling fights, but there were some shows that they looked good on paper, but they just didn't deliver. Overall. I think a lot of the shows ran a little bit too. Many of the shows ran a little bit too long. I think a lot had too much filler. Some fights were not necessary. I think Bellator versus Rizin was an interesting experiment. I'm curious to know what they do again with it this year. And of course, the broadcasting that you said, Jay Krish, was that has a lot that's not the best. It sucks that it seems like we never knew if we were going to be able to watch Rizin at any point, and there were some shows that were not available actually.
Well, it'll be fixed this year. It'll be fixed this
if you
year.
want to,
They're back on Fight. They're going to get the commentary fixed. Don't even trip. That will definitely happen this New Year's. That actually would be
sure. I hope so.
Great, Drew. That would be a great Rizin resolution. Is
Yeah.
to get the commentary.
We'll get to that. But we got we got to crawl through the mud, disgusting putrid toilets of the worst fight of the year. So if I can have my drum roll at this esteemed award show, play the drum. If you may give me a second, the drum roller is a bit inebriated. I don't know if you can hear it, but can
No,
everybody hear it? Okay,
no.
never mind that. Okay.
Okay, just get into it. So,
Okay.
so it's the first category is the
Guys, worst fight of the year. Worst fight of the
okay.
year. J
Hey,
Wolf,
how
you.
about we give them a preview of all the categories? You didn't go through the categories yet. We got best male fighter, best female fighter, best fight, worst fight, best show, best TKO, KO, best submission, best entrance walkout, and two new categories we're adding specifically for this show. I would actually like to make it more than two new categories. You got best soccer kick and best storyline. And I love the idea to add best soccer kick. I think we should name that after legends. Just like Shogun Hua just retired from the UFC. Hopefully he's not retired from fighting. Hopefully he's back in Japan, the superior rule set. Because but he just retired from the UFC. We should name the soccer kick award the Shogun Hua soccer kick award. And then I would like to also add two more. I would like to add a stomps, Wanderlei Silva Stomp of the Year award, and a grounded knee award. Kevin,
Well, here's
the
a J Wolf.
Monster Randleman.
I will as the MC of the evening. You can incorporate a soccer kick / stomp / ground knee, all one category, but pick one.
No, let's bring it to three. The ground knee will be Kevin Randleman Award, Kevin the Monster Randleman Skyscraper Ground knee Awesomeness Award, Shogun Hua Soccer Kick Award, and Wanderlei Silva Stomp of the Year Award.
Oh no, J Wolf. In the interest of time and my laptop not burning out, you can pick one. Maybe next year, 2023, when they have more shows.
No, I'll just combine them all into one. I already know which one I want to pick, anyways.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, worst fight of the year, J Wolf.
Okay, that was the on the Epic Rizin Landmark 4 in the Cage series. I believe there was a women's fight, Satomi Takano versus Laura Fontoura. That was low in action, but the reason I want to pick this one is because everybody panned it when it happened. Although there was some great bright spots in this one, which is why I want to pick it for worst fight of the year. Because one, there was a head clash in it, right, that caused a cut where I think it was Takano was just leaking blood everywhere. And normally in Japan, they stop those fights when it leaks blood, right? But this one they let go. So it was showing a progression in how the Japanese are thinking by allowing blood now to flow like it should be. And so that's why I want to pick that one. And also there was one grounded knee in that fight. So, it wasn't completely, just no, nothing happened in that event. So, but I mean, definitely could have used some stomps and stuff. Which we also will get into about how, stomps are crucial to the superior rule set. And I want to rebuff Luke Thomas's criticism of stomps as well, too, when we get to the Stomp Soccer Kick Award later on in the show.
So for my worst fight of the year, this was quite an easy one. It was Pitbull versus Kleber Koike.
Oh, you guys are tripping. That wasn't even that bad.
No, here's the thing. This fight was boring. This fight was built up by Pitbull saying, I'm going to go in there to be violent. Yet Kleber, who had a year of domination, who was extremely afraid to be on the feet with Pitbull. It was quite obvious. And as a result, it became a stalemate. And a little bit of cardio kickboxing. This fight was built up. The way this fight was built up was what got me so excited. And then it just was like, I don't know. I'm trying to think what's a good comparison. It's Yo Romero, Izzy. It was beyond a letdown. And this is because of there are worse fights. Like in terms of like Yachi Boyd Allen, I knew was gonna be bad, and there were others I knew was gonna be bad. That one you just mentioned, J Wolf, I knew that fight was probably gonna be bad. But with with the background and the pedigree that those two had, it should not have been that terrible a fight. It should have been. These two should have realized the stakes that were there. And yeah, neither of them delivered. Sorry to say. Bob Blue Jack says you can add every MMA bout from Rizin Osaka in this category. Unfortunately, we don't have enough awards to give out for every Rizin MMA fight in Osaka. Bob Blue Jack, we only can give out one. But Jay Krish, worst fight of the year.
Well, to be honest, I can't really say worst fight of the year because of the fact that there are just so many fights to choose from. Over 150 in total. I didn't even think that there was even a bad fight there. Could have been maybe a few boring fights, but not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as, I'm not even going to say worst fight. I'm going to say worst promotional tactic. And as far as worst promotional tactic goes, I would have to go, all the way back to Rizin 38 and Super Rizin, when they basically, not only did they make it hard, Rizin, and obviously the team of one Floyd Joyce Sinclair Jr., aka Floyd Mayweather Jr., aka Floyd Money Mayweather, made it hard for a lot of people to stick around and, well, outside the US and Japan, of course, it made it hard for a lot of people to stick around and watch Super Rizin at first. It made it hard for a lot of people just to enjoy the events. So, I mean, as well. But when you have an untrained security guard wanting to beat up a world-class kickboxer, that's one thing. And he lost in 50 seconds of round number 3, of course. But when you have not only one of the world's greatest fighters, albeit one of the world's most controversial fighters in Floyd Mayweather, in your presence, the least thing you want to do is toss flowers at their feet as if they're some peasant. And
that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great, but it got the world talking about Rizin in a negative reaction.
Not necessarily. Maybe some was negative, but some was positive too, because people were loved seeing Mayweather get disrespected like that. Because Mayweather was, he was disrespecting them by showing up late and stuff. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. And maybe there should be penalties for that type of stuff, especially when it comes down to prima donna boxers who basically want to come in and steal the show. Which, of course, every time Mayweather comes around for an event, it's his show. He's the A side, no matter what part of the card he's on. But still, though, the point of the matter is, I just think that Rizin could have probably done not just without the exhibition boxing press, but with all the Mayweather hype as well. But now, considering the fact that he's supposed to be helping them out on this Bellator Hawaii show, this Rizin Hawaii show, I don't think they have much of a choice. And especially considering the fact that they got Manny Pacquiao coming up next year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And all the world's hoping for Maypac 2 in the Rizin ring. A Maypac event to happen in the Rizin ring. Maybe with the help of Triller Fight Club, maybe not. I just think that this thing that happened in Japan at Super Rizin, where the wannabe Japanese alderman tossed flowers at Mayweather's feet, was definitely my worst promotional tactic of the year, especially considering the fact, and I know it's tradition for Japanese culture and Japanese combat sports to do this, but maybe it would be best to kill off that tradition of giving flowers to the fighters, no matter how cherished they're supposed to be.
Okay. I don't think they'll give that up. That's always a sponsor thing, I think. So that definitely won't be.
I can understand that. And you're always going to have social media stars basically doing that. But unfortunately, I just think it's time for that little tradition to die.
Okay. Well, we got rid of the garbage that was not Rizin's cage. We got rid of the worst fight of the year. But we're going to be moving on to some more positive things. And we're going to start off with
fun stuff.
With the walkout or entrance of the year. And so since my drum roller guy is out of commission right now, I'm going to do a little drum roll here. J Wolf, who was your walkout / entrance of the year?
Okay, this one I had to think long and hard. It was a difficult choice. We had three big walkouts at the Epic Rizin Bellator New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. Then we also had an epic walkout from Spike Carlisle earlier in the year, remember? And where he dressed up as an anime character. And and also, of course, our boy Yushi, a hard step and walkout with his hot girls on the side of him all the time. So there's a lot of great walkouts to choose from. The one I'm going to pick, though, because of the total package, is Juan Archuleta. Okay, Juan Archuleta had it. I mean, all the way down to the ethnic, music that he was walking out in the Jaguar Warrior gear, just totally embraced the whole thing. So, it was a tough choice between that and Yushi. I wanted to pick Yushi's real bad because I just love his walkouts. I love how they start to show off with him all the time, and because he has such a great walkouts all the time. So it was hard not to pick him, but I want to pick Juan Archuleta's because that was just just a total package with the whole costume, with the whole. Plus it was the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event, so it has extra pull. So. And that show is just incredible. That's what I'm picking. I'm picking Juan Archuleta's walkout as the best overall total of all. But there was several great contenders that it was very difficult to pick that one over.
Well, I'm gonna have agreement with you, Jay Wolf, but I went the opposite way. I picked Yushi, and you might be wondering which one. You know what? I'm sorry, but every time Yushi comes out, he's always doing the drip. He's always got the ladies. He's got his techno.
Yeah, whatever. I love it. It's awesome. Hard stepping in with the girls
that he's playing. Yeah, even at the landmark show from this year, which was at an unknown arena, wherever, it still had. That was where he came in a Rolls Royce. I think that was the one where Yeah, like there's not one entrance where it's not memorable. Remember what was the show? Remember it was the Supervisor where he came out and they replayed the entrance on the so that should tell you already that's gotta be like an entrance that like nobody else has. So I'm just gonna the award goes to Yushi for all the above. How about you, Jay Krish?
Oh, sorry about that. I was busy eating, but still, no. When it comes down to best entrance of the year, I'm sorry, but when the one entrance is that, what am I trying to say? When the entrances that y'all talking about are the one that happened in April with Spike Carlisle coming out dressed up as Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach, aka Johnny Young Bosch, the character who the guy who voiced over the character. When it comes down to that, and obviously the epic New Year's entrances for the for the Bellator and Rizin Super Show, it really just proved that, outside of Yushi, the rest of the entrances sucked. That's not the case. Everybody's entrance was pretty much unique. It wasn't just a jog down to the ring or the cage, blah, blah, blah. But the point of the matter is, I'm obviously an anime geek. I'm going to have to pick the anime entrance. And that entrance was all the way back at Rizin Trigger the Third and Rizin 35 with Spike Carlisle coming out dressed up in his inner Ichigo Kurosaki, wowing the Japanese fans. In a way, even though it's probably hard for him to get a fight outside of Bellator right now, especially with his contract situation, it would be cool to see him fighting Rizin again, especially considering that he wowed the fans. Not only did he wow the fans with his entrance, but he wowed the fans and beating up a guy in Kochi Takeda who many people thought would just be unstoppable, so to speak.
Good Good fight
Um,
too. You almost lost that fight. Remember, you pulled off the
Yeah,
submission.
he almost lost that fight, but instead he made Koji tap out due to a guillotine choke.
No, he
And
didn't. He put him to sleep. He put him to out cold, bro. He was
yeah,
out cold. Gave him a little kiss goodnight. Remember? It was hilarious.
yeah. But it also made, but I think in that win for Spike Carlisle, it also made
just some
Koji a better fighter
quick
too.
comments in the chat.
Okay, what's the quick comment?
Oh, sorry. I just no. Chris, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
But yeah.
your feed cut out. Your feed cut out. What was the
I'm
comment?
sorry. I was going to just read comments in the chat, but Chris, go ahead.
But yeah, in that particular win by Carlisle, it also made Koji a better fighter because, in a way, Koji got the headline New Year's Eve, even though he lost to Gotzi Rabadonov. But I do think that entrance from Spike Carlisle just, pretty much proved that anything can happen in professional MMA.
Great. Just want to quickly read the comments in the chat. Kobe Day says Shoji with the katana, which is always a fun entrance. And
It's only
it's
because
over
of the
Rizin.
fact that if he didn't come out to the Bushido Bulldozer, Nobuaki Kakuta, that entrance would have just fell flat. Andrew, your feed's cutting out.
And it's over Rizin. Yuki Matsuda, Eminem doesn't count though. Yeah, I'm tired of Eminem in general being used. I don't know why MMA fighters use them. So we're gonna move on to the next category, and this category is a new one that I introduced. And when I said when you hear Shingo or do interviews, and I kind of also connect with just JMMA in general, particularly pro wrestling. There are storylines, and when I say storylines, I don't mean the traditional pro wrestling sense, but there is stories built up in matches or with fighters or whatever. There's something usually meaning behind instead of just fight versus fights. We've got fighter versus fighter. That does not say that doesn't happen all the time, but there's a lot more to behind why a fight's happening in JMMA. So that's why I have the category for best storyline. So with the little drum roll, I'm gonna do best storyline. J Wolf, take it away, sir.
Okay, I got two here for this one. Of course, the best storyline is obviously the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event with Bellator. We were hyping that up all year, hoping for that, and it delivered the goods. It was sensational. It was a legit Pride Bushido level event and so much fun. Also, I want to say a storyline about the reemergence of the landmark event, the Caged series as well. I want to talk about how that, because that was also.
I said best, not worst. I said best.
No, that's the best. Also, we should have a category for our best, that we give out to our listeners and the fans. That and Anna Banana, I would like to say, is this year. I'd like her to get the award for this year's Soccer Kick Awards because she's been a fantastic listener, listens to us all the time. So shout out to Anna Banana. And also, she was saying she tweeted me, and I didn't, because I've been so busy, I didn't get a chance to go see the tweets till days later. But she was talking about how I love the superior rule set in the cage. As long as it's got the superior rule. Yes, that's absolutely correct, Anna. Absolutely. And I'll reply to those tweets. I just have to get to. I've just been so busy in my real life. But anyways, I want Anna Banana to get our first inaugural fan award, or no, the best listener award. And actually everybody that listens, I want to thank you guys as well. But Anna Banana, yeah, give you a shout out as well. And so for the storylines, of course, I want the epic Rizin versus Bellator New Year's Eve collaboration mega event that came to fruition after we were asking for that all year. I mean, it was just so much fun. And also the Cage series reemergence. I just love that they have the Cage series as well. You saw the action it produced. The Landmark 4 was an event of the year candidate as well. And it just, it was just so much fun. So those are the two storylines I would like to and if I had to pick one, Drew, I would pick the Bellator versus Rizin collaboration mega event, because that was a lot of fun. Really, that just it felt like a Pride Bushido level event. It was just great.
Well, I appreciate everybody who watches, listens, tweets, or whatever, because from when this first started, to now, two listeners, one being me, and I don't know who the other person was, on SoundCloud, to this, where people from all over the world are like actually watching, like Anna Banana or Babu Jack, or we getting guests like CJ and interviews. So everybody's appreciated. But if there's a fan who I enjoy the most, it's poor Babu Jack, because he has to go sit through those god awful Osaka shows. So he has my sympathy. He has a sympathy award for me. Also,
your pick for your fan award.
What's sorry?
Yeah, you can pick Babalu Jack for your fan award. I'm gonna pick Anna Banana for my fan award, and then we'll see what Jay Chris says.
But in terms of storyline, listen, I loved Cozy's versus Money Mayweather, going from Hawaii to Japan to Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. This was a worldwide feud that Cozy, it all started, in Hawaii with the press conference when we first had Jizzy pushing Mikaru, and then that led to the fight, to his booking a fight with Cozy and Jizzy just going at each other, and then Cozy having the fight with whatever the fuck his name is in Saudi Arabia. Listen, for Cozy versus Team Floyd is my favorite storyline feud, whatever you want to call it, of the year. But Babu Jack, unfortunately, we do not have a Bauer Scandal of the Year award. I'll have to say he has been exonerated so
That's
far.
right.
So we'll have to wait until 2023 maybe to get that one.
Sakaki
I said
Barasan was
2023.
exonerated.
We'll have to wait until 2023, J. Will. Jay Krish, if you have a fan award, go ahead. And your storyline of the year award.
Well, both of y'all kind of stole my thunder when it came down to announcing both of those awards. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. Without the fans, we'd just be another average fight podcast. But, seriously, without all the fans that actually care about this show and my show, Focus Fights Audio, cheap plug, we basically would just, it's like a famous voice actress once said, we'd all just be idiots talking in a box about nothing. But still, though, I'm just happy for the fans, and I'm just happy that we get the chance to do this and put this style of fighting over. And in particular, Babalu Jack was damn near out of the fight business. We all remember him for his amazing promotional video style that I think Dream caught up on in the late 2000s. We all remember him for those, and we're just glad to see him back in the combat sports conversation. And as for Anna Banana or Anna Bana Nebo, Ashiteru Anna-chan, we love you. And, if you want to talk to us about what future fights that you got, either as an amateur or eventually as a professional, our arms are wide open for you. So, yeah, I'm just happy
all the listeners. Absolutely. What was your storyline of the year?
Yeah, I'm just happy for the fans. But yeah, as far as the storyline goes, I basically might have gotten some slack for saying that this was my worst promotional tactic, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't the best storyline. So yeah, I think it was pretty much Koji and Mikaru versus Team Mayweather, the money team. And I think in a way, when it comes down to that, we didn't get nothing out of the Jahan Ingram Koji Tanaka fight that happened on the Global Titans card where Mayweather two-pieced Deji. But I think that in a way, and I'm basically looking over my shoulder to see the last of this football game, but still, point of the matter is, I think that hopefully if Rizin can do this right, if Mayweather can stack all his chips together like he's at a Vegas casino next to a high-end strip club, I mean, hopefully if this can be done right, maybe we might see Jahan Ingram in the Rizin ring in 2023. I know it might be a long shot. He has boxing commitments to get to. I know we don't want to see Jizzy Mack and Rizin again, but it is what it is if it does happen. But I think this storyline has legs, and it probably might continue on into the next year if both entities play their cards right.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the last of Mayweather, unfortunately. But maybe instead they'll have Pac-Man take over the Mayweather exhibition crap, whatever thing.
What do you mean? They're not going to have Mayweather back? You don't think? Why not? Mayweather Diaz.
I'm just saying. I would hope. I'm just saying that's my hope. That's my hope.
Oh, come on! No,
either
Money
way,
Mayweather brings he commands ESPN attention.
It's either that, you guys, or they bring in this guy named Valentine Hosokawa, who many people in the Western boxing world do not know anything about. But I think that he would probably have that type of charisma that would keep people interested.
So we're gonna move on to the next category, and again, new category.
Yes.
Best soccer kick.
Yes.
Stomp / jumping, stomp, knees, ground, whatever the fuck you want to call it, J-Bob. I don't care anymore. But that award. And
okay. And eventually, I'm glad you brought this new category up, and thank you for letting me talk about it. But eventually, I'm going to get you to break it up into 3 categories: Best Kevin Randleman Skyscraper Knee Award, Best Shogun Soccer Kick Award, and Best Wanderlei Silva Stomp Award. And, I also, real quick, before I give you the picks, I want to rebut Luke Thomas's criticism of stomps, okay? Because stomps are crucial to the superior rule set. They are what makes it cool. They are what made the Pride rules cool, is the stomps are the crucial element. And stomps are just, that's why I have to defend them against Luke Thomas. Luke Thomas was saying he's against stomps because the person has their head flat on the mat and they can't move nowhere when they get stomped. But that's BS. Look at the skull is round. Your balls, your foot, and your heel are round. It's gonna, when it hits, it's gonna shoot off to the side. It's gonna ricochet off to the side. Okay, they can go. It has a place to go, and that's to the side. Okay, and if you want to sit there and act like it doesn't have anywhere to go, Luke. What about big elbows coming down on like Blaze Overeem or one of my favorite KOs of all time, Hendo Lombard. That was a full-on elbow to the. I mean, you can't sit there and hate. Because we saw stomps in. I mean, it was shown on Showtime. Now people saw them in action in combat, and they saw that they are not like you guys make them out to be, where soccer kicks and stomps only happen to guys that are already out or on their way out. No, yes, they are definitely a finishing strike, but we saw them from the AJ McKee fight and Satoshi Sosa. Now they saw that they saw a soccer kick and a flying stomp in combat, and saw that it doesn't just happen on guys that are already KO'd. That haterism has been put to bed, okay? And it shows you, and also in the combat, their head's not flat against the mat when they get stomped, okay? So I just want to, just real quick go through that, and I can elaborate more on that, but in interest of time, I'm going to cut it short. But that's basically, it just, you can't sit there and hate on those, Luke. Sorry, the stomp is one of the most exciting strikes in the game, and it is crucial to the superior rule set, and it is no worse than huge elbows, or even like an Ngannou hammer fist on Overeem. Overeem's head was flat against the mat as well. So you can't sit there and he's acting like it's going to be like a Gallagher situation. I'm dating myself here, but Gallagher was an old comedian that would smash a watermelon at the end of his show. That's what he's acting like.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, and so okay. So anyways, okay. So I just wanted to defend Stomps real quick against his criticism, and I can do that later, elaborate more later. But for this show on the awards show, we're going to get to who I pick for Shogun Rua Soccer Kick of the Year, and I'm going to combine it with the Wanderlei Silva stomp of the year. Okay. And I'm going back to the Epic Rizin Landmark 4 event there, where they revived the cage event. Okay. And on this event, there was a fighter, and one of the first events, fighter named Kenta Kubo, okay, who scored a absolutely sensational TKO. The combo was, it was so great, and he made it just look routine. It was up against the fence. He was kneeing him. He was hitting him with knees. Then he dropped him, and then he finished him off with a stomp to a grounded knee TKO. Okay, and it was like it showed it perfectly how in combat, how it was. It's much safer. Yes, that's right. Pride rules are safer for the fighters. Why? Because it saves them from punishment. I'll give you exactly an example of what I'm talking about. We just saw last night Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill. Okay, there were several instances where Glover could have been finished by a soccer kick or grounded knee, right? And the ref would have jumped in there. But no, since they were not allowed on the pussified UFC rule set, he was able to recover and took about 3 more rounds of punishment. Okay, so it actually, soccer kicks and stomps prevent further punishment because they are fight enders. And that's just one example, recent example. I can go on and give you plenty more. Okay, so yes, Kenta Kubo, I'm going to give him both my Shogun soccer kick. No, not soccer kick, because there wasn't a soccer kick in there. I'm going to give the soccer kick award. Also on the was there a soccer kick on that? There had to have been a soccer kick on the
You know what? Let me go ahead and tell you what you missed out on. Rizin 37, Daichi Abe, soccer kick in Marcos Yoshio de Sousa.
Okay, thank you. Put that one as the Shogun Soccer Kick of the Year award. But I want Kenta Kubo to get the Wanderlei Silva Stomp of the Year and the Kevin Monster Randleman Grounded Knee of the Year award for that sensational TKO, because it showed it was routine. It showed how it was a fight ender. It showed how it didn't, they're not deadly strikes like Luke Thomas tries to say. It showed them in combat. And also I want to give an honorable mention to the AJ McKee soccer kick and AJ McKee's flying stomp against Satoshi Sosa in the main event of the Epic Rizin versus Bellator Collaboration Mega. Well, no. The reason why, let me say the reason why I know it didn't put him out is because that was shown on Showtime. That's the first time the Pride rules were shown on Showtime like that. So that's huge, very huge for people to see it in combat, to see how it is not the like the haters always say how it could cause serious, the haterisms, all they do against the Pride rules. So it's very key for the casuals to see the superior rule set Pride rules in action like that, and how they really are. So and then I believe I went through all. I also want to give one more, Drew. This is it. Also on the Landmark 4K series, Yuta Kubo had a 12-6 elbow TKO that I want mentioned as one of the best. I want that for best TKO. That and the Kenta Kubo TKO, the two Kubos for best TKO of the year. One was a 12-6 elbow TKO, which was fantastic to see. The other was a fantastic stomp to ground and knee TKO combo, just absolutely sensational. So okay. That's what I want to say about those. Thank you for letting me rant about my beloved superior rule.
I'll quickly say my favorite soccer kick was Shuto Sato accidentally soccer kicking Jin Madokuro during the kickboxing fight from earlier this year. Just kidding, no, not that one. It was actually Akira Haraguchi Yoshiki Nakahara getting soccer kicking Akira Haraguchi, because that was a one and done soccer kick, like you talked about, J Wolf. One and done. Referee knew he was out. Boom, done. That to me is a perfect soccer kick. I don't know if it's on Rise's YouTube channel, that fight. Also, considering that he's a guy who I did not expect such a brutal finish from, I'm also happy about that he chose to finish it that way. Jay Krish, best soccer kick of the year award for you?
My best soccer kick is the one that I mentioned. Daichi Abe over Marcos Yoshio Maquinhos de Sousa.
Good pick.
At Rizin 37. And in a way, Daichi Abe really proven that. I mean, I can't really talk about this, it was just a brutal finish. But people are gonna bitch and moan about the fact that well, sucker kicks should be banned, they should be illegal. I mean, I've basically seen people complain about this particular finish, all the way through how they said, oh, the soccer kick, the punch was enough. The soccer kick should have been banned. When
No,
not realizing that in Rizin, you can get DQ'd for grabbing the damn cage, a la Yusaku Kinoshita, who's going to be fighting on an upcoming UFC card in Las Vegas in about a week. But the point of the matter is, people want to bitch and moan about the fact that, soccer kicks like the Daichi Abe, Marcos Yoshio de Sosa fights should have been illegal when it's a part of the damn game. I mean,
that's right.
If you don't like watching it, turn it the fuck off and watch something else.
And you know what? Also, Jay Krish, a great point. A lot of those haters are UFC shills. That's all it is. They're hating because it's better than the UFC. You guys in the Epic Rizin Discord, you guys posted a tweet from Josh Barnett that excellent put it perfectly. He was sitting there blasting the athletic commissions. How are they going to allow Dingleberry Dana wife beater White's slap fight thing when they don't allow the pride rules or the actual one night tournaments? And it was so great. And if you guys read, I don't know if you saw any of the replies in that tweets, but the real fans are awakening, and they were saying how great the pride rules are, how better it is. Everyone using the word superior. It was great to see. So
okay, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, the slap fight. I think we all agree that slap fighting sucks and is disgusting. But we do have to move
no
to the next.
It should never got off the ground in Romania. It should have never been put on a Triller Fight Club pay-per-view in 2020. It should have never been given full control to a bald douchebag who slaps his wife.
He beat his wife down.
We're gonna move on to the next award. And J Wolf, you kind of gave it away, but that's fine. That's TKO, KO, MMA, kickboxing, whatever to your heart's desire. I know J Wolf, you just gave for Yuta Kubo, excuse me, for 12 to 6 elbows on on our boy Kesuke Okuda.
Yes, and also Kenta Kubo earlier the night on the Landmark 4 event, the Cage Series, for his sensational stomp grounded knee TKO. For the KO of the year, though, I would like it to go to Yuki Motoya for KOing Bontorin, UFC top 10 Bontorin with a huge knee at the end of the year. I want to pick that because that one was at the very end of the year when all the other KOs had happened. So and so that's why I want that to give honorable mention, just to drive home the point that you always wait until after the last show of the year, after New Year's, before you do your award show. Okay, and it was just also the fact they did it on a former UFC top 10er was just added extra gravy to the lovely steak KO dinner. It was just fantastic. So yeah.
Mine is a very easy choice. Again, from the Rise of New Year's Eve show, Joe Patrick Usami's KO over Bay Noah. Because, yes, I mean,
the stink face KO.
I mean, he knocked out a kickboxer who has been okay at MMA up until that point. Yeah, it was that one and done KO. Those are my favorites. Was it a walk-off? I can't recall. Was it a walk-off KO or no?
Yes. He face planted him, and Bay Noah, God bless him, love him, great fighter. I can't wait to see him back. But he had the most hilarious stink face on his face, laying face down on the mat. It was so freaking funny. Look at the picture, guys. It was hilarious. It was one of the most hilarious KOs I've seen in a while. I call it the stink face KO. It was beyond funny.
It was hilarious, scary, and brutal. It was a ton of attitudes like that.
Great, fantastic KO.
Yeah. Jay Krish, what was yours? Good sir.
I'm sorry, you guys, and I basically hate to overdo this, but I'm gonna basically call it a 3-way tie.
Ooh, nice.
for my best knockout of the year. And guess what? Hint, hint, they're all American.
Oh,
Do people do the knockouts or people getting knocked out?
Knockouts, obviously.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, the first knockout that I basically want to say was my knockout of the year, I would have to go all the way back to Rizin Trigger 3 when Grant Bogdanov knocked out Takeshi Izumi in 3 minutes 16 seconds. When y'all seen that finish, tell me y'all didn't think it definitely should have been a turning point for Bogdanov to return back to Rizin.
oh yeah. Can't wait to see him back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Even if it's just on another Osaka card, and well, actually, even if it's on an Okinawa card. And second, by the way, Tanner Larenko, our friend. You know, you obviously are former. Well, actually, you would probably appreciate him more, Jay, because he's a current member of the military as well.
That's
Salute
right.
to
U.S.
service.
soldiers. You know I love my U.S. soldiers.
Yeah, Tanner Larenko knocking out Orihei, 71 kilos back at Rizin 36 in Okinawa. 1 minute, 5 seconds. Brutalized that man. And finally, Rizin 40, going all the way back to the recent event that we just had on New Year's Eve. John Dodson probably finishing off the last of Hideo Tokuro's career. And I basically told him this in the interview that we just had, which I will definitely upload before his next fight at BKFC's Knucklemania coming up in about a few weeks. I basically said that John Dodson knocking out Hideo Tokuro was like watching a prime Roy Jones Jr. knocking somebody out. I mean, when y'all seen that KO, and y'all would probably know it, Hideo Tokuro was stumbling back like he was Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall. I mean, still though, when y'all seen that, tell me y'all didn't think that it was like a prime Roy Jones Jr. knocking some bozo out.
Well, I didn't think it was Roy Jones Jr. I thought immediately I was thinking, get that man into the flyweight Grand Prix ASAP, please.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Also, just want to say, Christian, congrats on getting that interview. Definitely cannot wait to hear that.
Yes.
Hopefully, he'll have some stuff to say about Rizin. Not that I'm not interested to hear about his BKFC stuff, but hopefully he'll give some hints. Maybe if he'll be in that flyweight Grand Prix.
Oh yeah,
that we're
most
having.
definitely. He's definitely looking to be in the flyweight Grand Prix when this thing gets decided and talked about, and everything gets sorted out between him and the folks of David Feldman's employ. But still, don't. Excuse me. I do think
nice.
Yeah, those are nice indeed. Welcome to America. But still, though, point of the matter is, those are my 3 knockouts of the year. I mean, I'm sorry if my Americanism or lack of Americanism is showing, but still, though, I think that those 3, Bogdanov, Larenko, and Dodson, do have what it takes to potentially come back to Rizin in 2023. And in the case of Dodson, I mean, he said he wants to become the flyweight champion of the world in Rizin, and he wants to finish his career in the superior rule set. And check out the interview I'm going to be putting out in the next few weeks.
Oh, I can't wait.
Audio.
Does he call it the superior rule set too?
No, I basically had to tell it to him, but still.
Oh, okay. Thank you anyway.
I think those 3. I think those 3 have what it takes to be stars in Rizin if put over better with bigger finishes.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, we take care of knockouts. We got to go on submissions because I personally prefer submission wins, especially ones that are just out of nowhere or like a weird submission or a submission that you just never see. Listen, it still upsets me that you bring up Tanner Larenko, Christian. That last year nobody was talking about Tanner Larenko's submission win over using the guy's gi to choke him. You would think
the old man from Grachan.
Yes, so you would think that would be like one of those viral submissions, but nobody was talking about it
Because it's a non-UFC, Drew, and you know how they get with that. Anything that can even rival or even sniff rivalry of a UFC, they hate on it, and they won't they like shadow ban it. Basically, they don't even freaking talk about it because of that.
So
Shadow ban is the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They
like. I want to connect this to my pick for the submission of the year, because I think it's going extremely unnoticed. Because apparently all the major publications picked Oliveira choking out Gaethje, or Islam choking out Oliveira, but I have to go with Naoki Inoue's. He calls it the Naoki lock on Kenta Takigawa from New Year's Eve, because while I thought it was a Kimura at first, it turned out it was a variation, almost of a straight armbar. I can't remember the last time I saw a straight armbar from side mounts in an MMA fight, major MMA fight. The least of that was done the way that he did, where he basically, where I still can't really in words describe it. It was just so out of nowhere, and just I didn't think that it was even an attemptable submission from that. But I have to go with Naoki anyways. Naoki lock. J Wolf.
Oh, that's a great one. Great one. You know what I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with. Oh, by the way, the one that got one submission of the year was Jiri Prochazka submitting Glover Teixeira, the epic Rizin warrior Jiri Prochazka. Just want to put that out there. So, anyways, for my submission of the year, I'm going with Satoshi Shoza submitting Johnny Case to get that win, to avenge that win and get that win back. And remember, if you guys remember that submission, it was like kind of like a almost like a jumping triangle submission attempt, right? And
back, right? Was it from the back? It was from the back, if I remember correctly.
Oh, did he jump on the back and get it?
No, but he set it up from the back
and like drug him down to the ground and then got him in the submission. Very, very reminiscent of how, remember the Tawfiq Musayev submission when Satoshi submitted Musayev with a similar kind of like jumping, kind of like hang on him and drag him down to the ground and get him in a triangle type of submission. So I'm gonna give that one my submission of the year. Satoshi Souza avenging and getting a W back from Johnny Case, like a modified flying triangle. I'm gonna call it.
Okay. Jay Krish, your sub of the year.
You there, Jay Krish? Oh, he might have gone to like the bathroom or something.
Oh, okay.
We'll come back to that. You want to rant for a little bit? I can rant for a little bit.
We could briefly talk about the next awards, and then we'll go back to Jay Krish. But right now, in terms of awards, we're going to be having the event of the year. Event of the year was interesting to choose from because also don't forget, Rizin had like 2 events. They would do the double events, the double bill, whatever. So I kind of cheated with my choice. Because I really consider them one event. I don't know. I don't like this whole separation. Like, this is this part 1 is whatever, and then part 2 is whatever. Just call it one event. That's what it is. It's just like I don't know, but I don't know. What do you think about the whole double billing of events, J-Wolf? Do you think you should just call one thing just to like make it less confusing? Because then people will be like, I'm seeing Rizin 39. Oh wait, am I seeing Super Rizin? What do you think? What do you think about that whole thing?
I don't mind it. Just it was an excuse to have another series. The Super Rizin series, and that's the one you're talking about, I assume. The Floyd Money Mayweather exhibition with Mikuru, the Super Rizin and the Rizin 38 combined event is what you're picking, and I don't mind that one at all. I thought that was a fantastic event. I liked how they had a big car with Mayweather in like the earlier portion. I like how they structured it to where they had like 2 cars, one for like our time zone in America, right, for the Mayweather portion. Then they had the card after that. I just wish there was been a way to where we didn't have to order them separate. You know what I mean? But that's like nitpicking. Basically, it was great. I liked that concept, Drew, of them splitting it up like that.
Sorry, just to kill a little bit more time as well. Falling Stars, another great listener, watcher, whatever you want to call them.
Absolutely.
But
Appreciate all you guys.
uh, great question. What about signing Francis Ngannou?
Yes. Heck yes. Absolutely. Sakakibara-san, Shingo-san, please go after Nate Diaz. Go after Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou is the lineal heavyweight champion right now, and he is out free in the free agency right now. You go after him with everything you got.
Sorry to interrupt. We'll get back to that at the end because but Jay Chris is back. Jay Chris, sorry, we were just killing time. You're sub of the year, sir.
My submission of the year?
Yes, sir.
You know, y'all were basically talking about how most of the Rizin submission finishes were definitely ignored by the mainstream fight press, which is a damn shame because of the fact that, I mean, let's just face it, we're independent media. It's sad when we see people get laid off for telling the truth, not telling lies. And it's even more sadder to see mainstream media riot mainstream promotions. I mean, so you know what? They're missing out on great fight action. And I think that one of the best submissions that happened in Rizin this year happened on that Super Rizin 38 card when Kyoji Horiguchi submitted Yuto Kentaro Hokamura back at Rizin 38. Technical submission on triangle choke, 259 of round number 2. But in a way, I do think that, you know, I blame some of these mainstream awards like the World MMA Awards, not really giving two shits about what Rizin does because of the fact that, because it's in Japan, nobody cares.
Yeah, right. Those quote unquote world MMA awards, they should be called the UFC awards. That's all they are. Because look, Bellator is clearly number 2. Epic Rizin is right there on there. Especially if they get Francis Ngannou, they're gonna have argument to be number 2 themselves right now. Because but I think Bellator is gonna go after him because
in a way,
go ahead. We'll get that later. So
in a way, if Rizin gets Francis Ngannou, they'll definitely be 1B, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, we're a little bit behind on time, but we're about to go to event of the year. And I just want to quickly say mine was very easy to pick because I think there was only one bad fight on it, but the show as a whole was just incredibly special. Super Rizin / Rizin 38, whatever you want to call it. Love the show. Almost every fight was amazing. It felt like a truly big show, particularly the first portion with the Mayweather thing. Jizzy versus Cozy, come on. Almost like
I gotta agree with you. Super Rizin and Rizin 38 was definitely the show that got everybody around the world talking. And not to mention, it marked Fight TV returning. It marked Rizin returning to Fight TV for the first time
and
2 years.
And pay-per-view. And also pay-per-view. So I felt like that to me was, so if you want to know, I know Jay will, you know, you talk about them getting back fighters and all that, international fighters. If you want to point to a show that was really kind of, I guess, the restarts for Rizin, I would say it's that show. And I think almost every fight in that show delivered. And it was an incredibly paced show as well. And, you know, the return of Kyoji Horiguchi as well, winning in the main events. Especially being from his layoff in Rizin. Oh yeah, just incredible overall. Jay Wolf, I have a feeling I know what you're gonna pick, but you can go ahead and just tell us anyway.
Okay. No, hey, you guys, that's a great pick. Super Rizin was a fantastic show. You know, Money Mayweather definitely brought a lot of eyeballs to Epic Rizin. And I like how you put that, Drew, how it kickstarted, you know, the Rizin's back after the pandemic. Restrictions were lifted and stuff, have international fighters back. So that's a great pick. But I'm not going to pick that one. You already know which one I'm going to pick because it was the biggest event of the year, their best event of the year. And it delivered the goods from start to finish. And that's the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event with Bellator, Mighty Bellator versus Epic Rizin was just so much fun. The first portion of the card, Rizin 40, which I count as the entire thing. The Rizin 40 portion was just 8 out of the 10 fights and then absolutely devastating finishes. Absolutely, it was just so much freaking fun. And then the main event with the collaboration mega event, the super fights, it was just so much. All they needed was a finish. They just didn't have a finish in it, but it was just so much fun. And also, since I know I had another one that I wanted to pick because I know everybody is going to say, "Oh, that's just recency bias," but no, that collaboration, New Year's Eve collaboration mega event between Rizin and Bellator was really it was a Pride Bushido level event. I mean, you guys saw that with us. I mean, they had the Pride theme going. They had the epic walkouts. It was so much fun, and I just can't wait for them to collaboration with the mighty Bellator again. It was really really fun, but also I need to say that also the Landmark 4 event, okay, the Cage series, that one was so much fun as well. And it was just so much fun to have the Cage reintroduced to them. I just love how Sakaki Bar and Epic Rizin, they do the Cage series as well. And it just delivered the goods so much. There was a couple Fight of the Year candidates on there. And I mean, dude, you can't even pick one because they were so good. And then, of course, it had the Kenta Kubo TKO I was talking about, which is my personal, one of the year. I picked that one because it was just so great. I mean, name a better combo than a stomp to a grounded knee finish. There is none. And he just did it so casually and made it look like it was just such a natural part of fighting, which it is, because it was just a naturally flowing. It was just so great to see, and then also I just love the Yuta Kubo's 12-6 elbow TKO, because that was, if I recall correctly, that's the first one. That is because 12-6 elbows are illegal in Epic Rizin. That's part of what makes it the superior rule set. And this was the first 12-6 elbow TKO that I think has happened in this new era, this new golden era, and that was Yuta Kubo's. And hopefully it's the first of many. It was just a lot of fun to see, and it just and so I'm just saying that that's just all that combined, the sensational finishes, the action in the cage, showing that the superior rule set works fantastic in the cage as well. And just like they were saying that the cage helps them get ready to go overseas and fight in other promotions that have cage, that utilize the cage. So it's just, there's so many benefits to it. It was just so much fun. So I just want to
I apologize, but anything with a cage is disqualified. So your award is meaningless. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, Landmark 4. That's my event of the year. But really, the event of the year was a New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. That was just, I mean, it was just beyond fun, you guys. I'm telling you, we kicked down the door to the new golden era. Pride 2.0 is back. That's the almighty Pride FC 2.0 is back, and really the New Year's Eve felt like a Pride Bushido level event. That's how big it was. It was so fantastic. I just can't wait to see what happens this year. It's just great. So but I have to say that Landmark 4 event in the cage really delivered. So I want to pick that one over the obvious choice of the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. So that's what I'm picking. I'm picking the Landmark 4 event.
So we're gonna come down to the big three now. And it sucks, we talk about the MMA awards and all those awards that you usually know who wins those awards.
Yeah, the UFC awards.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know who Jay Wolf's gonna pick. I don't know who Jay Christian's gonna pick. They don't know who I'm picking because we didn't talk about this beforehand for the most part. But it's sad that that the fighters, male fighters, female fighters, aren't gonna get recognized and not the best fight of the year. But you know what? Hopefully we can bring just a little bit of recognition to those fighters who deserve to get so much more than so much more recognition that they should. By the way, as well, if I'm talking about funny, it's because I bit my tongue about 2 hours ago and it still hurts. So I apologize if I sound like a weirdo right now.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't even trip.
But we're gonna start best female fighter of the year.
Oh, okay.
And for me, this one was a very easy one because her year was just.
Let me go ahead and guess. Did she dominate the women's Grand Prix this year?
You're quite astute, Mr. J. Chris Gary. Yes, you are.
Is she currently a champion ruling over the promotion?
Yep, that's true. You want to take another guess?
Is she the
A
star?
star and a flower.
Yep, yep, and yep. It is Seika Izawa, the Rizin Super Atom Weight Champion, winner of the Grand Prix to some. And listen, her year of dominance, other than the Siwoo Park fight, which she won on paper, I didn't think she necessarily won it, but I can understand when people. It's one of those things where, okay, let's not get into it, but like, other than that, her fights with Fontura, Stetskivka, and Hamazaki for the second time were just all dominant wins. Not to mention the Hamazaki win, which, if you want to say the first one was maybe a lucky win that Hamazaki wasn't taking it seriously, maybe you could say that. But without doubt, when the second Hamazaki fight told us that Izawa is the real deal. And the way she dominated the openings of the tournament, and just, yeah, she is a future, if not, well, she's an atom weight star, in my opinion. I hope that Rizin keeps her. I don't know where. Well, I mean, like, if UFC opens up an atom weight division, then it's there's no competition there, and you're gonna lose all of your stars in atom weight. But I'm hoping that Rizin can see that they have a star potentially on their hands with her, and I hope that she can be there for the promotion a long time. Kobe Day says Landmark 4 had Suzuki versus Imanari and Takano versus Fontura, which were two of the worst Rizin bouts of the year. I don't know about that Suzuki Imanari one, because any fight of Imanari is a great fight, in my opinion. But that's just me. Kobe.
Yeah, for those two fights that he says were not that good, I got three more that were fight of the year candidates on there. Okay,
but CJ, I'm sorry, not CJ. J Wolf, who is your female fighter of the year? Good sir.
Okay, I wanted to pick Siwoo Park because her run that she went through, and I believe that she should have won and beat Sika. We're not going to get into the judging, whatever, but that sequence where Siwoo Park had some stomps and landed a stomp that might have rocked Sika, I think should have won her that fight. But you know what? She didn't do enough. The first round, Sika, she got that backpack position. So it's that's just the way the game goes, But anyways, I wanted it to be Siwoo Park because I think that would have just been I think she should have won, but at the same time, she didn't. And Sika Izawa won. And as you guys know, Sika, I like some Starflower. She is just, I think she's a superstar already. She got the skills that she's fantastic. She's a fantastic fighter. So, and she did win the Grand Prix this year. So I want to give it to her, but I wanted to give it to Siwoo Park because I thought she actually did. She was the one that won the Grand Prix, and she did it with stomps. So I mean, you know me. You know how I'm just. I cannot stress this enough to you. I cannot reiterate this enough. Stomps are crucial to the superior rules and what makes, it's what makes it cool. It's what makes the Almighty Pride FC cool. It's what makes the Epic Rizin superior rule set cool. It's just the stomps are crucial. The flying stomp is arguably the most exciting strike in the game, period. The suplex slam is arguably the most exciting wrestling move, right? Grappling move, what would be the suplex slam. And for the strikes, the most exciting strike is arguably the flying stomp. Okay, it's just they're crucial to the superior rule set. But yes, okay, so you get back. Yes, I wanted to have Siwoo Park be it because I thought she won with those stomps. But since Sika Izawa won, I'm giving it to Sika Izawa.
Speaking of, Daniel, our friend from Poland, says, "Hello, guys. If you're talking about 2022 greatest organization in the world, I mean Invicta. Unfortunately, not. We're not talking about Invicta, Daniel, but we are talking about female fighters. So we are. It is kind of adjacent if the Corsi and Izawa ever fights whatever. But
yeah, that'd be cool.
Jay Krish, your pick for female fighter of the year?
It's pretty obvious. Seika is our. I mean, let's face it. It's because of the fact that despite the fact that she doesn't want to be like a star, she has what it takes to become a star. And for the record, let's just say if she were to have gotten involved in the sport of mixed martial arts before the pandemic, she would have probably been in the UFC by now, fighting at 115 pounds or whatever, but probably losing big fights just like Jin Yu Frey has done. So, for the point of the matter is, I think that Seiki Izawa, no question, is the Women's Fighter of the Year in 2022 for Rizin. And it's going to be really hard for anybody to try and contest her, even though you got stars like Anastasia Spetskivska, you got Ayaka Hamasaki, you got Reina Kubota still.
Yes,
but
Reina.
Also,
huh? I said, oh yes, Reina. Love me some Reina. We love us some Reina here at the We Are Rising podcast.
Oh yeah, of course. But you also got fighters like Laura Fontoura, and you also got Jessica Aguilar wanting to end her last run with a win and a fight in the Rising ring. So, hopefully we can see more of that.
I want to ask you, I want to press you. I don't mean to interrupt. I know that's your thing to interrupt, but I got to steal a page from your book. Why don't you think Sika would do well in the UFC? I think she'd run roughshod over the UFC girls. They would not even have. Look, the only time she's been rocked is by that Siwoo Park stomp, and they don't allow stomps in the pussified UFC. So I think that she would do very well in the UFC.
Of course, but the thing is, when it comes down to the fact that if she would have taken up the sport a little earlier, she would have been in the UFC. Damn well, us North American fans wouldn't have respected her.
Why not? Everybody respected JJ.
I'm going to tell you the easiest answer. I'm going to tell you the simplest answer. If she fought in strawweight in UFC, she would be immensely undersized, and she would be mauled by, I don't know, who's in strawweight right now in UFC. Give me some names.
No, it's okay. You're talking about strawweight, a whole weight class bigger. I'm talking about her weight class. She would destroy the UFC girls. Okay, and that the ones that could cut down weight. I mean, that's why I hope the fight with the Corsi happens. And even if she's got to fly out here to face her in Invicta, I don't see why the Corsi wouldn't want to go to Japan and be in front of 50,000 fans in a huge arena.
Because the reason why Jillian DeCourcy doesn't want to go fly out to Japan to fight Seiki Izawa is because she doesn't want to be treated as anybody's B-side.
She wouldn't be, though. Look at how they did the Rizin versus Bellator collaboration mega event. Were any of those guys treated as the B-side? I don't think so. It could be the same exact thing with Epic Rizin and Invicta and DeCourcy versus Izawa. I just don't like that excuse that, she wouldn't be the A side. Bull BS. She absolutely would be the A side. They could both.
Okay, I'm gonna say this quickly. I'm gonna say this quickly. So number 15 of UFC rankings, if this is accurate, is Jessica Penne for strawweights, and Penne would maul Izawa at strawweights. I believe.
Okay, and is Izawa a strawweight?
No. She started at strawweight.
No, she's an atom weight. She's not a strawweight. And if which of the girls on the UFC roster could make it atom weight right now? Any of them?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Angela Hill.
Angela
Hill. Sika Izawa would take down and strangle Angela Hill. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Jin Frey probably is. Jin Frey still in the UFC or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, you can't sit there and compare and say, Jin Frey represents every Rizin female fighter. I mean, okay. Well, then you know what? Then Jiri Prohaska represents every male Rizin fighter. How about that? So every male Rizin fighter go win the UFC championship. Just because Jin Frey lost doesn't mean that Sika Izawa is going to lose.
I think Emily Ducote could make. She can maybe make atom weights.
Nah, I think her kidneys would probably stall because of it.
Okay. Well, but yeah, like. So
let's face it. Emily Gordinha Ducote looks like a true 115, maybe 125 pounder. Not so much.
So forget about the UFC people because they're a whole weight class bigger. It's between her and the Invicta girls.
Okay, well, here's regardless. Yes, the fight that should happen and will hopefully happen. Maybe this is maybe during the course he's doing this as some sort of like the negotiation tactic thing. Maybe it's some 4D chess thing that we're not privy to. That's the only thing I can think of because I mean, realistically, and no insult to her. Listen, you're not the B-side if you go to Rizin. In fact, you're the fact that they're flying you out there, putting you in a hotel, paying you to fight. I mean, Invicta probably gives you coupons to Golden Corral as like payments for their fights. I don't know.
I mean,
it's
come to
not
think
going.
of it, maybe in this case, she probably looking at it like an old, trash television talk show thing. They're gonna probably bring her in by limo and send her home in a cab.
Yeah. So there's a few comments in the chat.
Look at how they treat the Bellator fighters, guys.
Jay,
how they treated
I know, but Jay, take that up with the Corsi. For some reason, she feels like it's a piece. I agree with you though. I agree with you. I'm on your side.
Okay,
we're all in agreement. Daniel says Michelle Watterson, Kamesh, not Strawley, Adam Waite.
Oh, there we go.
Michelle
UFC
Watterson
wins.
Michelle Watterson been needing to get cut from the UFC anyways.
Well, she already got her UFC Ws. She already got several UFC Ws. Absolutely, bring her over and let's see how Sekizawa can do against her. I bet you Sekizawa scrubbed her up.
It's over for Rizin and Komede. Both bring up Esparza, Carlos Esparza. So I think
another good one. Yeah.
I think Carlos Esparza is not an exciting fighter. I would not want that fight.
So what? She former UFC champ?
Yeah, I think
she won the championship in UFC. Didn't she? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Bring her over. Let Sekizawa scrub her up and show these casuals that the Epic Rizin Warriors can more than hang in the UFC, just like they've already been proven with Jerry Prohaska, Vadim Nemkov, Mano Cape. Oh, I can keep going and going and going with all these guys.
Nemkov and Jerry both injured, by the way. Anyway, Jay Wolf, just kidding. We acknowledge the female fighter, and none of us have bad choices. I think Siwa Parks that's totally like her ascension up in Rizin was great this year. If you thought she won, great. If you thought Zawa won, great, whatever. But we're gonna move on to the other gender of the year for best male fighter of the year. And this one was unique because I initially had two penciled in, I had one penciled in, and then another one penciled in but unfortunately came crashing down on Bellator versus Rizin. I initially was gonna say, oh, you know what, Kleber as my male fight of the year, but then he had the dog shit fight with Pitbull, so I crossed him out. I was then like, okay, it's gotta be Satoshi, so I'm going to put pencil in Satoshi, and then he lost to AJ McKee. Not in a bad way, but he lost. And then
barely lost.
I thought, who really dominated this year? Who really stood out for me this year? And I came to the conclusion that this guy did. Despite scandal, being caught kind of adjacent to scandal, and having some fights that were, not the most exciting, but nonetheless, he still dominated through and through. Chihiro Suzuki was my male fight of the year. He had that Nakahara fight at New Year's Eve where it looked like he was losing and was going to lose, but then he came back and knocked him out cold.
Yes, brutally. Awesome.
He humbled, I'll say, Ren this year by actually outstriking him. Remember, Ren's face was all fucked up after the fight.
Well, he also grappled him a lot too. Remember?
That too as well. He also submitted Kyoei Hagiwara, and didn't let the trash talk get to him. And he somehow survived Imanari breaking his leg or snapping his ankle. He even said, if you saw the Riders' confessions, remember he said he heard his ankle snap or like he heard something pop. You remember that?
Yeah.
So if that's true that his ankle, whatever popped or his foot popped and he still was able to fight, hey, that's a warrior right there. So I give it to Chihiro Suzuki and also surviving the Sugar Mama scandal as well.
Hey, don't play the player, hate the game. Actually.
So Jay Wolf.
So for me, Drew, I'm in agreement with you. I picked Chihiro Suzuki as well because this year he had 4 fights this year, 4 fights on huge cards, and that's coming off of last year was 2022, but the 2 years ago in 2021, he's also coming off he was on the first trigger card on the first cage event for Epic Rizin. And then he, from winning on that first cage event, he also went 4-0 this year. And he was on the revival cage event, the Landmark 4 event. So it was just, I mean, dude, so and also he's got one of the best walkouts tracks. It gets you hyped up every time he walks out with that track that just it has a great drop in it and everything. And just it's really great with Lenny Hart's voice, announcing him behind it. It's a fantastic walkout and track and stuff. And make sure you follow Jay Christian Gary because he does the Rizin theme song or entrance theme songs threads
It's
every
actually at Gary 92, but close enough.
Yes.
I
Yes.
also
Make sure
want
you
to
follow that.
J Wolf, since you picked him as well, what do you think about his passion whenever he wins, when they give him the microphone? He seems like a very passionate guy about the sport as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. And he's a legit crossover fighter. That crossover, and because do kickboxing as well as mixed martial arts fighting. It's just.
Oh yeah, he also did a kickboxing fight as well. I think he did knockout fight this year as well.
He said he was in knockout. That was his first fight this year. So he really had 5 fights this year, and one of them was a kick. It says it's a Muay Thai fight in knockout in January 22nd of 2022. So that's his fifth. That'd be his 5th bout for 2022. I mean, and all of them were wins. Every single one of them was wins over, like you were saying, Drew. And then also, if you combine that with his appearance on the Rizin Trigger First event in November of 2021, that's a 6-fight win streak here going back to 2021 on just epic events. The Trigger First was the first inaugural cage event. Then he had kicked off 2022 with the kickboxing Muay Thai performance. Then he was going through went through Ren Hiramoto, Hagiwara, Imanari, and Imanari was on that Landmark 4 caged event, the revival of the cage event. Then he finished it off with finishing Nakahara on the Epic Rizin New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. So I mean, he is the fighter of the year, Drew. I mean, it's not just your pick; it's because he is. I mean, there's nobody that had a better year than him, really. I mean, unless look, there are some contenders, we'll say, but none of them had 5 fights in the year like him. I mean, they weren't on the epic huge cards like he was on every single one. So it's a great pick, and he is legit the fighter of the year for 2022 AD.
Jay Krish, who did you pick? Did you agree with us, or did you pick somebody else?
I gotta go with Roberto Satoshi de Sosa.
Nice.
I'm sorry, that's just the rules. Because I think that for a man who's been as dominant as he has been, he has not been getting much recognition from the international fight press. I mean, never mind the fact that he lost to AJ McKee on New Year's Eve. The dude still had a pretty dominant 2022 for somebody who only fought one time over the course of the year?
Well, twice. Remember, I picked him for. Oh, you weren't in the room, but I picked him for my submission of the year over Johnny Case. So he might not get some mainstream recognition, but he gets recognition from us, the real fans.
Well, yeah, of course. But unfortunately, even though he did defeat Johnny Case, you didn't see that in any of the stupid World MMA awards that were put over because
again, don't call them world. They're the UFC awards. That's what they are. They're shills, bought and paid for all of them. It's ridiculous.
Of course. But the point of the matter is, I think that this year you're going to see a lot of fighters hopefully Roberto Satoshi de Sosa get the global recognition that they deserve, and not basically have it be, oh, well, if it's not the UFC, we just don't care, blah, blah, blah. Seriously, that annoys me to no end.
I know that's the worst.
But I do
Have you seen-
think that Alberto Satoshi de Souza is the Rizin Fighter of the Year for 2022. Even though would I wanted to see him fight more often in 2022? Yeah, but you have to remember, Rizin, I think their schedule only runs from April to December. So, hopefully they can get more events put on there for him to fight on.
No,
for him to
why April?
title. Huh?
Why April? No, they had an event, and it says here March. Chihiro Suzuki was on a March event.
Was April or was it March?
February.
I mean, come to think of it, maybe I'm wrong. They start during the Sakura season, the cherry blossom season, which is around March and April.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But yeah, point of the matter is,
and Daniel from Poland.
Drew, you got to repeat that. Your feed's cutting out.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, but the point of the matter is, Alberto Satoshi de Souza is my fighter of the year, but I do think that he needs to have more fights on the year in order to be recognized by the global fight press. Now, what is it that Double D, Daniel D. Zabecki said?
Oh, he just thinks that he says that Chihiro is going to be the next big thing. Had an awesome year. I think we could definitely agree. He should be at least next in line for a title shot. I think, or at least number one contender or whatever. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And with that comes the big one, fight of the year. It was, I said that I don't think that Rizin collectively had the best events overall this year. I think individual fights, were very strong overall this year. I don't know if I think they're definitely stronger than last year. Definitely. J Wolf, I know this must have been like, you must have been struggling and sweating.
I didn't get to pick one.
Everything. Going to
Drew,
fight,
there were
YouTube.
so many.
Yeah, but if you have to pick one, I'm gonna make.
No, I can't. One. I can't. I just look. There was 3 on the Rizin Landmark event alone. I mean, almost every single bout on that Landmark 4 event in the Cage Revival series, almost every single bout has superior rule set action in it. Be it grounded knees, stomp soccer kicks, 12-6 elbows. I mean, it was just so much fun. So I can't pick just one. I mean, and if I have to pick one, you know what I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick AJ McKee versus Satoshi Souza. No, I'll pick one. I'll pick Satoshi Souza versus AJ McKee because of how significant that was. It was on Showtime. It was aired for the first time. The U.S. audience is going to see the superior rule set action. It had, it was they aired the it was, even though it was tape delayed, it was still in prime time. It showed, the superior rule set. It showed the Japanese MMA, showed the New Year's Eve huge event on Showtime. So it just but that fight, AJ McKee versus Satoshi Souza, I mean, it was, first of all, it was a fight of the year candidate, period. In and of itself, it was so great. And you have to understand grappling though. If you don't understand grappling, you're not going to get that fight of why it was so great. And also just the fact that AJ McKee threw that fantastic soccer kick and stomp, and that awakened, just, you were seeing guys like Brian Campbell on Luke Thomas's show just talk about and rave about it and say how awesome it was, how he wished that kind of rule set could be allowed here, and how exciting it was, and exactly the type of stuff that you want the casual or the quote unquote casuals. If you watch that show with us, I don't consider you guys casuals. Okay. So anyways, but that just shows you that, if one fan, if Ryan Campbell was thinking that, there's other fans that are going to be thinking that too. They're going, oh my God, look at this. This is freaking awesome. Soccer kicks and stomps. How awesome is this? Pride rules rock. You know what I mean? So I'm picking that fight as my fight of the year for not only the action in it, but again, you have to appreciate the grappling aspect of mixed martial arts to really appreciate that fight. And for the significance of that bout, about it being on Showtime, showing superior rule set action to the audience, because there was a lot of people paying attention to that because of AJ McKee. Because AJ McKee is a pound for pound great fighter in Bellator, and actually across the world. To be honest with you, he's really great. So that's the one I'm picking because of all those factors that I just told you. So if I have to pick one, that's the one I'm picking. But there's so many, you guys. Like I was saying, there's 3 alone on the landmark card. I'm sure you're going to say a couple more that I was thinking too on your Super Rising card as well. And just, I mean, just there's so many. But so if I had to pick one, that'd be the one. AJ McKee versus Satoshi Souza, because of how significant it was and all the external factors going into it, and how it's just great. It just showed the casuals, or the quote unquote casuals, because like I said, I consider you guys hardcore as a part of the Pride Never Die family. If you guys are watching with us and enjoying the Superior Rule Set awesomeness and the Pride rules and Epic Rising, so that's the one I'm gonna pick. If I have to pick one, Satoshi Souza versus AJ McKee for sure. Drew, you there? Your feet cut out?
So in my case,
Oh, there we go.
I originally sorry about that. So yeah, I was trying to think, I could pick something technical like Social Kim versus Hiromasu Kubo, or like an AJ McKee Satoshi, or something, or a meme fight like Jizzy versus Cozy. But I was like, you know what? Once you get some recognition, some fights that are at the beginning of the year. And I'm gonna say this, and I mean this with all sincerity. If you go back and watch Harry Stallone versus Kohei Takeshi, that is a uncles fighting at the barbecue type of fights that just so rarely ever seems to happen in almost any major promotion. It is so untechnical. It is so ugly. Bully shoe ugly, as JR might say. Jay Christian, you'll know that reference.
Love it.
And I watched that fight. I'm not gonna pull Luke Talent and say I watched it 48 times, but I watched it quite a few times. And it's so ugly and just dumb jock fighting. Just these two guys just punching each other. No grappling. No, we're gonna, I'm getting punched. I'm gonna take this guy down. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna continue just punching until someone goes down. Rock and Sock and Robots. And you know what? That's the type of fight that I can appreciate on a level for promotion where you get technical fights, where you get meme fights. But you know what? I don't want to see the dumb barbecue at uncles fighting the barbecue fight get no recognition. So I have to go Harry Stallone and Kohei Takeshi. Jay Chris, your thoughts on fight of the year?
My fight of the year, and I'm gonna have to basically reiterate it and make mention of my fighter of the year, is actually my co-fighter of the year, because what am I trying to say? Basically, what I'm trying to say is the fact that my fighter of the year is now my co-fighter of the year, and my co-fighter of the year is Kleber Koike Herbst. Mostly because of the fact that at Rizin 39, he finally became a world champion
Wait, fight of the year? You mean fight of the year or fire of the year?
Well, fight of the year as far as Rizin 39 is concerned, but because of the fact that this man beat up Juntaro Ushiku in such dominant fashion, he also qualifies as my co-fighter of the year with Roberto Satoshi de Souza, and that's Kleber Koike Herbst, submitting Juntaro Ushiku to become the Rizin featherweight champion. Now, even though he did lose to Patricio Pitbull in what you thought, Andrew, was a boring fight, I do think that when it comes to Banzai Jiu-Jitsu, the sky's the limit. As Michael Jordan said, the ceiling is the roof. Dumb quote, I know. But point of the matter is, Kleber Koike Herbst defeated Juntaro Ushiku with such emotion, such passion, such will, so to speak, that I can only hope that he gets a decent title run out of it. Not the fact that he is currently in the same gym as his contemporary, who's the current Rizin lightweight champ, but I do hope that his next challenge isn't immediately against Juntaro Ushiku in a rematch. I hope that he faces off against some great name brand featherweight talent that aren't in the UFC or that really aren't in Bellator. But in a way, the clever Koike Herbs Juntaro Ushiku fight from Rizin 39 in Fukuoka is definitely my fight of the year. I mean, y'all can watch that back again and again if y'all want. Y'all can know now y'all can basically see the passion that Clever put on display in this fight.
Before we go on to our Rizin resolutions, Falling Star has a good question. And they want to know, how do you feel Sakakibara did as a promoter for the first 5 years of the promotion? First 5 years of promotion versus any other promoter in the history of MMA. Jay Wolf, I'll start off with you.
Sakakibara-san is the GOAT, okay? The greatest of all time promoters. Look at what he did this year. Look at how he survived the pandemic. Kept Epic Rizin one of the that survived the pandemic, and now they're back. And look at just this year. Look at he was involved. He was responsible for promoting the match, which was the biggest combat sports events of the year. Period. Look how much money. And he made the Epic Rizin Bellator New Year's Eve collaboration mega event happen. And look at how huge that was. We didn't even get the numbers for that, but I bet you they were fantastic as well. Okay, maybe they didn't get as 500,000 like the match got or whatever, but I bet you they got a lot. Okay, I bet you it did very well, and that's because of Sakakibara-san. Okay, and also they tried to get him in another scandal. They tried to extort him this year, and but they caught them. And I want those people that tried to extort Sakakibara-san. I want them and interrogate it harshly. Let's put it that way. I want to find out if there was any kind of Zuffa UFC connections that were getting them to try to sabotage Sakakibara-san and the match, and in turn the Epic Rizin. And then look at how I bet you that Fuji TV and them are going to realize their mistake if they not already haven't, and they're going to come crawling back and beg for forgiveness from Sakakibara-san, the GOAT promoter, this year. And they'll be back. So Epic Rizin will be back on Fuji TV by the end of this year. That's my prediction, because you saw their numbers. They're down 20-30% on New Year's Eve without Epic Rizin being shown on there. Meanwhile, Epic Rizin on Sakakibara-san is getting massive pay-per-view buys. You saw the Saitama Super Arena for the New Year's Eve collaboration mega event. That was pretty sold. It was, what was it, over 26,000 seats was sold for that? Bigger than any UFC gate this year? Yes, I think so. That's exactly right.
Yeah, well, sorry, but just to also say, John Nash did write that in terms of numbers, it was the second biggest promotion. So
that's that. Right. Second only.
Second to only UFC. Sorry, Jay Wolf, I got to cut you off. I want to go to because I got to go to Jay Chris. I want to get his thoughts. Jay Chris, what do you think about that question by Falling Star?
To be honest, in the first 2 or 3 years, I really thought this was just an offshoot of the old Pride FC days that Dream could have been. But in the last 2 years, I think that Rizin has done more than enough to basically, kind of think you can even say in the last 7 years that this promotion has been around, because you got to date it all the way back to September 2015 when the promotion was established, and New Year's weekend 2015 when the promotion had its first couple of events. The first few years were like a Pride FC offshoot, like what Dream could have been. But over the last few years, especially over the last 4, dating back to the Mayweather-Nasukawa fight, you would have to think that Rizin has done more to gain its own identity rather than just, kiss the ass of nostalgia, so to speak. So I do think that Sakakibara has done a lot to, keep his promotion alive over the last 7 years. If y'all basically haven't realized, they've done more numbered events than Pride so far. They've done more numbered events than Dream so far. And I do think that the sky is only the limit, but I just hope they know what the hell they're doing. And I hope they realize, I'm understanding that they do, but I just hope that they can continue this without, bumping into speed bumps, like the whole Mayweather situation with the fake alderman. And as we're looking at the comments here on the chat, basically the Fallen Star saying, I feel like this is the last decade of him being at the captaincy, him being Nobuyuki Sakakibara.
How old is he?
He did say he wants someone to have the keys before he leaves MMA for good. And Cole Mayday is saying Rizin was able to create Japanese stars. Dream could not.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
because
y'all
Dream didn't
agree?
have any stomps. Dream didn't have stomps or soccer kicks. Remember, that was their problem.
Oh, yeah,
It was awesome.
right.
They were in a cage. It was awesome. They had grounded knees, but without the
Well,
soccer, no
Jay Wolf,
stomp,
just to
no
answer your
line.
question, he's 59 years old.
Oh, okay. So okay, 59. He's not even 60 yet. We could get a good 10 plus years out of him still. I mean, I don't see why he needs to step down. I mean, 60 is not that old, especially nowadays.
But it's not too young
And-
either. And I think also the other thing that also be said, he's been in this business for a long time. Don't forget, he's in the travel business. That's his main. That's how he started. You know, Pride, Dream. Then
I don't think he was really a part of Dream because he was still going for the UFC non-compete.
That's true. That's true. I mean, so I guess Dream adjacent maybe. But yeah, the non-compete clause. I still find it fascinating that so as soon as that compete clause was lifted, what he does with that millions of dollars, he creates Rizin. I still find that very fascinating because if somebody gave me that amount of money, I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go take a vacation to Fiji every month. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna stay home, play video games, take vacations to Fiji. But he said he put his money into Rizin, that's very interesting. That someone was like, it was almost like he was playing that for like, as soon as I come back, as soon as that thing says I'm can do whatever, I'm gonna do that.
Absolutely,
I
that
don't
would happen. Yeah,
it's just fascinating that but I don't know. That's like those A type, B type personality, whatever that things.
he loves it. He loves to promote the fights, bro. That's what it is.
Kobe Day says that he wants Bard or Bob Aramid up until his 80s. I don't know if I want to go that far. No,
look, for a good another 10 years,
hand the king to
be
Shingo
the
before
captain
you
of the
turn
ship.
retirement age, Vara. But I'll quickly say in terms of like how he's been as a pro, I think that the first years of Rizin, first I'll say 2 years, were very interesting. How it was kind of like this. It was kind of like this, the whole thing. Remember the match was like, oh, neutral territory, whatever, that whole dumb thing that was always being talked about. I thought that's how Rizin kind of started. Was like this neutral territory, like, hey, take your best fighter from KSW, take your best fighter from Pancreas, take your best fighter from here, there, whatever, and they can all fight on here, this federation. It felt like I'll never forget, seeing those flags from all the promotions when I went through Rizin 11 and then the New Year's. I'm sorry, the open weight tournaments 2016, where you had all the flags from all the promotions, and it felt like something that in MMA that hadn't happened in a long time. And I'll say this as well, that I don't know, and maybe CJ can answer this, if there was a hunger for a big MMA promotion to be in Japan when Rizin came about, but if there wasn't, and I'll say he managed to capture an audience that probably, Jay Krish, they always say, Dave Meltzer always says that audience when WWF bought WCW just stopped watching wrestling. So I wonder if that audience that was watching Pride, that was watching Dream, when those ended, were they hoping for a new promotion to come back? Or were they?
To be honest, I think they were, but they were basically being a little patient.
Because that's not what happened to WCW fans. They just stopped watching wrestling altogether and never came back. So it was kind of a gamble for him to say,
all the way up until AEW came around, but that's neither here nor there. The point of the matter is, you were trying to say is it was hard for Rizin to bring back those old JMMA fans.
Well, the gauge, if they would be able to bring in new fans, but also when they talk about the Todd Atkins show, the model that they have, Discover MMA, which is to bring in new fans. So kind of like, hey, here are the old favorites that you guys like, come watch them fight, and then these new guys like Kai Sakura, Kana, Reina, for the newer generation of younger fighters. So it was he can't. It was. I definitely say. I'll say this. He had a lot of balls to do that, especially with all that money, because that first show could have been a failure. Second show could have been a failure. Then the third show could have been a failure, or the first one could have been a success. Second failure, you just didn't know. But it managed to draw. So, hey, hats off to him.
Yeah,
For
you know why that
risk.
happened? You know why? Because
Why?
he went with the full superior rule set, baby.
Okay.
He went stumps
God.
included.
Mhm.
The one night Grand Prix finals Pride style had the same Pride FC format, same Pride FC rules. Added what we asked for because one of the biggest criticisms of Pride FC was there was no elbows. So what's Kakibara-san the GOAT do? He added elbows to the Epic Rising, and he added all elbows, 12 to 6 included. So I mean, look, you can put your head in the sand, but that's a huge factor of why it was so awesome and why it became successful was a superior rule set, the full superior rule set. Look at how one is falling off a little bit. They're more known for kickboxing and stuff and Muay Thai than they are for mixed martial arts, even though that they have, a partial superior rule set with grounded knees at least. But, before that, they were when it was one fighting championship, when they allowed soccer kicks after our Sylvia Arlovsky 5, switched it to where it was a full open soccer kick rule. Because before, when the Roger Huerta one, which all the haters try to use against us, that was before it was open soccer kick rule. That was a wait for the referee to tell you the soccer kick rule. That's why that one looks so messed up.
Well, Jay Wolf, I'll tell you why. Because soccer kicks aren't Bushido. Okay.
So, soccer kicks are Bushido. Soccer kicks are life. So actually, those stomps are life. Stomps is what.
Sorry, Jay Wolf. I cut you off because
okay.
laptop is starting to catch on fire. But while we just finished our awards, we want to look forward to what Rizin does in 2023. So that's why we have our Rizin resolutions. Also, I should say not only what we want them to do or what we don't want them to do. There's 3 things, and I'm gonna say my 3 things, and this goes back to a topic we had before. But well, first off, I think it goes without saying. I don't know if anybody else picked this. No more remote commentary. This needs to end. Stop it. No more remote commentary. I'm so fucking tired of it. I'm tired of hearing shit cut out like I am now because my computer's on fire right now. It's you're the second biggest promotion in the world, and that's the most. I don't like that. To me is the most bothersome thing because there's the second biggest promotion and they're doing it this way. And apparently, someone in the chat Discord said that soccer or something was going to start doing remote commentary in a studio or something. Did you see that?
Well,
yeah.
He was going to be doing that for Major League Soccer.
Okay, that's dumb. It's one thing if it's in a studio. Not that I'll be happier if they remember when Rizin used to have them come into the studio wherever that was, and they like in the fake backdrop of Tokyo be like behind them, like Anthony Burchak and Mauro Renaro. I can't stand this Zoom shits. Skype, whatever. I don't care. Line. This is not what the second biggest promotion in the world does. Okay, moving on. Number 2, get that Rizin Stream Pass working. I don't want to leave fights, but I want to be able to watch stuff on their Stream Pass. I'm paying for their Stream Pass. I'm not watching it. Please.
Me too.
I think Daniel, we're not watching it. Please make it available for us legally.
Yes, please.
I'm tired of using the Tokyo Westin Hotel as my address when I live in Japan. Okay? This is ridiculous. Okay? Again, number 2 promotion. They should be international. They are international. They have international fighters. They work with Bellator. You have a Stream Pass. That's supposed to be for us. You promote it in Las Vegas. I'm living here, not the Tokyo Westin Hotel anymore. Please. And number three, and I think this is important. Komei Day disagrees with me because he thinks that they should sign 10 prospects more than they should sign this guy. But I really do think they should sign Francis Ngannou. His name value will get people talking. Even those people who hate UFC in the media or hate Rizin in the UFC media, as you call it, Jay Wolf, they'll have no choice but to talk about because he's a lineal champion. And if this fight with Fury happens, that's more to it as well. If he has the fight with Fury first, maybe, and then you book him after, or something, or maybe have the fight first in Rizin, and then he's Rizin MMA fighter fighting Tyson Fury, whatever. I'm fine with that. And so, but Francis Ngannou could be legitimately the biggest name that they could sign. That is a former MMA fighter from the UFC who has a great record, well-known name, all that good stuff. Even for a one-off, it would get people to buy that show and tune in. So those are my three things. Jay Wolf, you sir?
Okay, yes, I would like to piggyback off of your three things. Those are fantastic. But I actually have three different ones. Well, one of them's pretty similar, but I have three different ones. The first one, I want them to bring back the one-night Grand Prix final Pride style. You know me, I love my one-night Grand Prix. And the Pride Grand Prix were the greatest of all time, and their finals were one-night Grand Prix, meaning it had four men. They would fight twice to determine the championship. And that was the finals. The semifinals and the finals were on the same night. And they were doing that Epic Rising. But for this year, for the Atomweight Grand Prix with the women, they didn't. And I think it was because they started it later in the year, which is why. But for next year, I would like them to return to the way it was supposed to be, the true way, the Pride style, one-night Grand Prix finals, and make that a staple for Epic Rising. And then for my other ones, I would like, picking up what you said, Drew, big signings, big foreign talent signings, and not just Francis Ngannou. I want them to go after everyone. I want Nate Diaz and Epic Rising. He already tweeted about it. That was the most exciting thing, the most exciting part of a horrible news week that happened in the first part of the year. Was the best thing that happened of the whole news. That was when we found out Dana White beat down his wife on camera. We found out people die. All kinds of stuff was happening. But and then in this little, a great bright spot in all that crap news was Nate Diaz tweeting the Epic Rising logo when I think Jake Paul or somebody's trying to get him to sign with some minor league.
He was basically trying to get him to sign with the PFL.
Yeah, some minor league promoter that's way below him. So, and Nate Diaz tweets back, says,
"How dare you? How dare you
I'm
call
with
PFL?"
You're
on ESPN. You're on ESPN and FUBU.
Oh God, PFL
Fubo,
ain't
whatever it's called. Not FUBU. FUBU's the clothing company. Fubo, whatever that thing is called.
You're talking about Fubo TV.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, okay, yes. So I want big signings like Nate Diaz, especially, and definitely go after Francis Ngannou. Although I believe Francis Ngannou is probably going to be courted by Bellator the most, because think about it. If Bellator can get Francis Ngannou, they will legit have the best heavyweight in the world, the lineal heavyweight champion, and they will have the best light heavyweight in the world, arguably the best light heavyweight in the world, Vadim Nemkov, who has a real argument to be the best in the world right now. We saw fans even tweeting about that after Glover Hill, So I mean that would be huge. That would really establish Bellator. It'd be undeniable they're number two. And and if Epic Rising were to get Ngannou instead, that would put Epic Rising in the argument to be number two. They have the lineal heavyweight champion, and we are living in a world where, look, in just 2 weeks, the greatest fighter of all time, Bader Emelianenko, is challenging for the Bellator title versus Bader too. Okay, and there's a real possibility that he could win that. I hardly see it going the same way as the first one, where it was a quick knockout. Okay, so we live in a world where there's a possibility that if Bader wins and beats Bader, can you imagine a super fight if they maybe in Japan, they do it in Japan for Bader's last fighting against the lineal UFC champion as the Bellator champion? If that's why I think that I could see Bellator signing him, but at the same time, I want Sakaki Barasan to definitely go after Ngannou, exactly like you're saying, Drew. Exactly like you're saying.
I'll just say quickly this: I would rather have Ngannou over Diaz, because Ngannou is still a fresh fighter. I don't know why people are saying like he's like 38. That means he's old. No, it's not. It's like I don't know. And he tore his ACL and still beat a guy. I think it was Cyril Gaines. Or no, it was
it was Cyril Gaines. Yes, yeah. Cyril Gaines.
Yeah.
He just beat him convincingly on a torn knee.
Yeah.
And the reason people are hating on him, Drew, is because he left the UFC.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying I would rather have him because his name is still in the news. You know, with Tyson Fury just saying, "Hey, let's do our thing with Mike Tyson as a referee, whatever." So he's still it's still being talked about. So there's still newsworthiness to this. And
Okay,
like you said, the new champion. So that's why I'm only saying Ngannou. If they had a choice, if there's like only one name they could have, I would say Ngannou over Diaz. That's just my personal opinion.
I want all three of them, bro. I want all three. Oh, I didn't even tell you the third one, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
want all three of them. I want Nate Diaz. I want Francis Ngannou. If they can afford to get Mayweather and Pacquiao, okay, they can afford to make a run at all three guys. They can make a run at Nate Diaz. They can make a run at Francis Ngannou. They can make a run at Eddie Alvarez. They can make, I mean, all these big name free agents right now, they can make a run at. I mean, just don't overpay for guys like Alvarez. Don't like break the bank for guys like Nate Diaz and Ngannou. Okay. And so just definitely go for those fighters. Like, I mean, you're absolutely right.
Also, I'll just say this as well. When it comes to breaking the bank, the other thing that Rizin, don't forget, Rizin allows people to have sponsorships. So that's kind of a trade-off to, hey, you may not get paid the most, but then it's fine because then remember, Jay Christian, remember Anthony Burchak told us that he got paid the most ever for his Rizin fights as well. So who knows? Maybe they would break the bank. They would break the bank for people like that.
And they do pay-per-views. Let's not skip over how big of a factor that is. They could theoretically they can negotiate pay-per-view points into Ngannou's contract or Nate Diaz's contract. Okay, and I would imagine that would be a pretty big selling point. Say, hey, you want Nate? You want to come over here and box Mayweather or Pac-Man and get some pay-per-view points out of that? Hey, Francis Ngannou, you want to come here and fight Tyson Fury in boxing, get some pay-per-view points, and then afterwards,
what you mean, Bima points?
MMA?
Bima points? Is it a Bima points?
Oh yeah, well whatever. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They could easily entice them to come to Epic Rizin with that because they are proven now. That's like you were saying. You said John Nash's tweet was saying we didn't get the exact numbers, but we know it did fairly well. Okay, and Nash guy was even saying that it did so well that they are number 2 now in monetarily in terms of money and everything, that they are the number 2 promotion behind the UFC right now because they had the biggest gate. They're successful on pay-per-view, everything. Okay. So that's why, look, you know, the first one, man, what was the first one I said that I wanted them to do? Remember?
It's a Pride style.
Oh yeah. Pride style one night Grand Prix finals. Yes. Make those return for the Grand Prix and make the real Grand Prix Pride style. The second Rizin resolution for the New Year's is to sign international talent. Guys like Nate Diaz, Francis Ngannou, Eddie Alvarez, whoever. And you break the bank for the big names like Nate Diaz and Francis Ngannou. Absolutely. And then for the third thing that I would like, my Rizin resolution, is to please continue doing the collaboration mega events. That was so much fun. That New Year's Eve collaboration mega event was literally a Pride Bushido level event. You guys know, we were watching all together. That was from the Rizin 40 portion into the Rizin versus Bellator portion was just absolutely so much fun. I just can't wait for it to happen again. And yes, I mean for them to come over to Japan to fight under the superior rule set, because that is what made it so much fun, is seeing these high level Bellator fighters unleash on the superior rule set and allowed to use Pride rules and 12-6 elbows and everything. It was just so much fun. That's why I felt like that's what made Pride so cool. Is high level guys, UFC guys coming over. It wasn't just Chuck Liddell, by the way. I want to put that myth to bed that UFC can't co-promote because only Chuck Liddell got scrubbed up in Pride. No, it wasn't just Chuck Liddell. There was other UFC guys that came over and got scrubbed up. Also, guys like Mark Coleman had success, Kevin Randleman, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like, I don't know why they always say just Chuck Liddell, but anyways, that's because it was very embarrassing for Dana. He was ringside. He ran away, tail tucked between his legs. It was great. He still has nightmares of that. That's why they won't co-promote. So, but anyways, that's my third Rizin resolution, is to continue the epic collaboration mega events with Bellator and do it where they can utilize a superior rule set, because it was an absolute joy to watch the Bellator fighters on the superior rule set. And it just, like I said, it was reminiscent of the Almighty Pride FC. And it was a lot of fun. And it felt like the new golden era is here. It really did. So those are my 3 Rizin resolutions for the new year.
Jay, Chris, you good, sir?
Oh, it's finally my time to talk.
Yes.
Well, okay. I know basically I would have a lot long of a leash to say, but obviously we're running out of airtime, so to speak. I know you got to get this computer charged of yours.
Fixed. Or throw in the trash. Whatever.
Yeah, well,
go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Point of the matter is, let me go ahead and say my 3 things, and then we can go ahead and get the hell out of here. When it comes down to my predictions for Rizin in 2023, I would basically say number 1, they would need to take advantage, like you said, Jay Wolf, take advantage of international free agents. Because let's just say, this time last year, they were still going under COVID restrictions. They were still trying to get asses in seats, and they were still trying to work with domestic Japanese fighters or fighters from other countries who were stuck in the country because of the fact that they had military services. Shout out to Tanner Larenko and Grant Baltanov. But still, though, when it came down to the year going by, you just kept seeing more international fighters and more fighters, with big name value like a Jessica Aguilar, so to speak, who has a legendary background. You've seen more fighters come in from other countries. And obviously, you've seen the Mayweather return as well, even though a lot of people, a lot of blog heads, a lot of morons that don't really know their ass from an elbow, they basically just bashing the promotion. So maybe it would be best to take advantage more of those international free agents just to bring them in to the superior rule set, because we're basically not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but more international free agents being brought over to Rizin would mean more interviews for us and more opportunities for the world to know what they're all about. Secondly,
I'll just say this quickly. We can't interview Junior Tapa anymore. I almost said Justin. Not him anymore.
Either way, we can't interview the Tapas or anybody really from New Zealand anymore because their goal is the UFC. But the point of the matter is, more international fighters coming over means more chances for us to talk to them, especially more chances for me to talk to them, but that's neither here nor there. Second of all, when it comes down to, the fact that before the pandemic, they were supposed to be doing this small, medium, and large event scale plan, I think they should get back to that because of the fact that they all but abandoned it during the pandemic, like everybody else abandoned their plans for 2020. I think they should really think about getting back to that, especially if they want some of these shows, these mid-level shows, to be seen as serious shows. Like,
wait, are you talking about like Jay Chris? Sorry to interrupt. Are you talking about like the different shows like Super Rizin and Landmark?
Mm-hmm. Let those be. Well, Super Rizin is going to be a high-level show regardless, just like the New Year's Eve show. But still, though, have the Super Rizin and New Year's Eve and Saitama Super Arena shows be your high level. Have your shows booked at like Dolphins Arena or Fukuoka be your mid-level, and have your shows booked in like small, undisclosed locations, like the Rizin Landmark show, for instance, be your low-level shows.
Well, they don't have the Landmark merged with Trigger, and now is a new Cage series. They don't have those small 4-5 fight Landmark shows anymore. Remember, now it's a Trigger show. And those, I think what you're saying is, instead of just have the high levels, like the New Year's Eve collaboration mega events, the New Year's Eve shows, the highest tier, and then the medium level shows be like the other ones, like the Landmark Cage series and the regular numbered events. How about that? I don't even think they should waste their time with low level shows, unless you think they should bring back like the Landmark style and just do it.
I'll just say this. I get what the low level shows. Listen, you want to have not everybody's gonna be on every show. And if you want to have a show where maybe you have guys who can get some wins on the lower show, work their way up to like a Saitama show or a bigger show, I think that's totally fine. I like that idea. I think that's a great way to. It's it's not like it's like a not low level, but it's like a contender series in its own way, where you just work your way up. Because listen,
I mean,
not
come to
everybody.
think of it, in a way, Rizin can probably do their own version of what Pride used to do with the best.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, of course. And the third part I want to mention is that I know that you, Jay, will say, hey, they need to sign Francis Ngannou. They need to sign Nate Diaz. They need to splurge on guys like Eddie Alvarez. Maybe the whole thing in general, at least in this case, would be do something that can make the world start talking about you. Because even though, people basically have a little bit of a displeasure of seeing celebrity boxing, they have a little bit of they have a little bit of a displeasure of seeing, old boxers have another go in exhibitions way after they're supposed to have any more goes. But the point of the matter is they need to do something that gets the people talking about them, whether it be these big name pay-per-views, whether it be, having Mayweather take on Pacquiao for the second time, or, even be a co-promoter for possibly Fury versus Ngannou.
Yeah.
I really think that should happen. But the point of the matter is, no matter what they do this year, do something that can make the people over here in this corner of the world, North America, talk about you in a positive light, because we don't want to basically see another so-called award show and see all UFC all the time, or not see anything outside of UFC centric shows get put over.
Well, that's not on Rise. That's on those award shows itself. So, okay, we got about 10 minutes of battery life left. It says I just saw an announcement from Drew here. So, okay, finish what you were saying, Jay Krish. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh yeah. Point of the matter is, that's all I want to say. Basically, focus on the level tier shows. Take advantage of international free agents and do something that can get the fight fans in North America talking. That's all I gotta say about my resolutions for 2020.
Pac-Man commands ESPN attention. So does Mayweather. So if they, like you were saying, brilliant idea to do a co-promotion type of thing, like they did with the match for Ngannou Fury, have it in the Rizin ring, have that part of Ngannou signing with them, and just all that happens, like exactly like you were saying. Also, I want to make an honorable mention before we finish the show to, like you were saying about the level of events, just please keep doing one of the shows as a caged series events. Okay. Don't listen to the haters. I know they prefer the ring, but there's room for it to be both. Okay. There's room to have one and the other. Drew's booing me over here silently. I appreciate you booing me silently, Drew, but I'm telling you that the cage, the cage, the landmark cage.
I want to go back to but this because Daniel, while we got like a few minutes, but Daniel brings up a good point about at least maintain the number of events without dropping quality. So with that, how about what would you say, having the same number of events but less fights, maybe 10 a show instead of 12, 13, 14, or 15?
No,
because some of these shows don't deserve to have like 12, 13. These trigger shows that are in Osaka or Fukuoka or whatever, 10 fights should be good enough. What main fight, main card, main event with well-known fighters, and then conducively, less and less known as it goes down. What you would think about just 10 fights for
it's not enough
shows.
Not enough. I want at least 12 to 15 fights on a card. There's enough talent out there.
That's why they run
the lightweight division.
Long, Jay Wolf. That's why they run so long. Where we feel like shit the next day.
But here's the thing.
That's our problem. That's international. That's overseas geeks' problem. That's not their problem. Those big shows.
I want to hear what Jay Chris has to say. What was it?
Here's the thing, though. Daniel's also saying, They should make fights. They should make championship fights 1 10-minute round, 2 5-minute rounds like
Yes.
the old Pride rules.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They
Or
should
5
co-promote
rounds.
with. They should co-promote with promotions, not just with Bellator.
Yep.
They should
Yes.
make it accessible for international audiences, which I guess this also
Yes.
means Europe as well and Africa. And
Everywhere,
they
the whole
should
world.
also, and I know you're gonna love this one, Jay, make a flyweight Grand Prix.
Yes, thank you, Big Double D. That's right. The more Grand Prix, the better. Absolutely. You can get international talent in there as well, and just get it going, boy. That's going to be so much fun. The flyweight and the featherweight. And Scotty Koch said he was going to send over some featherweights. Hopefully, Juan Archuleta's one of them. I mean, that'd be fantastic. So
Also, what was it? Also, Daniel says divide the format / series and get rid of those 5-fight short cards. But you see, here's the thing: if they have a streaming service, I think that's fine. I don't want to pay $20 for a 5-fight card, but I'm fine with paying for a streaming service. That's why if they go the streaming route service and they have fights, those who want to buy a fight can buy a fight. But on streaming service, I think $9.99 or whatever they're charging, I haven't checked anymore, is fine for what they're charging so far for those 5-fight short cards, which I'm fine with. Also, in fairness, that first Landmark card was an immense success, as we all know, and almost is kind of precursor to Breaking Down. It kind of just like that whole, short, boom, 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 kind of just, dingy type of fighting thing. So
you know what? Maybe they should bring Breaking Down to the Stream Pass.
there you go. Good idea.
Well, I know I'm fine with well, here's the thing. So here's what they would probably do with the Stream Pass. They would have things available, for the regular membership, and then they would do what New Japan does, which is New Japan has a lot of their shows for the regular price, but then there'll be like a show like the one with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet coming up. You pay extra for. It's kind of like what the UFC does. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rizin does that, because it would be stupid of them to charge $9.99 for all their shows when we all know that the big shows are probably worth more. Don't expect them to all the shows be just all available at $9.99 on their Stream Pass thing. If that happens. And also, Kobe Day also says that signing Nate Diaz, Francis, and Eddie is a very Western outlook. Just double down the young Japanese fighters. I think you can do both. I think you can do both.
That's what I like to hear.
And I just will say this: I don't care about Nate Diaz. I don't care about Eddie Alvarez.
Oh my God! You don't care about Nate Diaz? Are you kidding me?
No,
come on.
He's way past his prime.
So what?
At least Nagano is still a prime fighter right now, and to get him would be it would be whatever sports analogy. It would be like if Messi left. Who's he fight for? Who's he soccer? Who's he for soccer again? I don't watch soccer.
It'd be like if Messi left Paris Saint-Germain.
Okay, you guys he's a lineal champion. He's a lineal heavyweight champion right now as a free agent. You don't need any more explanation than that. This is
it's just also name value. It's just also name value. I'm thinking from a business perspective. I think it would actually really, and I think
yes,
if you do it for a Saitama show in the summer or something or whatever, or Sakura season, you're gonna have, if there's international people that are there overseas. They might come if they hear about Francis Ngannou that are in Japan right now. I don't think anybody's gonna fly over Japan. Unless they save it, unless they do that show in Hawaii and they use them for that. That's the other thing I'm thinking.
See, I love your optimism, Drew, but what's going to happen is he's going to do boxing first, and that's going to take half the year up.
Yeah,
and then we're probably going to, if we see him in mixed martial arts, it'll be by the end of the year, probably.
Anyway, but we gotta wrap this up. J Wolf, you gotta tell us what you're doing. Tell us what the great stuff you're doing with Teep.
Oh yes, we're gonna have some shows next week with Teep about on the Teep and J Wolf's ridiculously long previews and recaps. We're going to be reviewing we're going to have also year-end reviews for Bellator as well. With, same kind of great award show like this Soccer Kick award show right here that we just did was fantastic. We're going to have something like that on Teep's channel, so make sure you guys check that out. We're also going to do a preview for the big CBS show on February 4th, which I'm hoping to attend. So make sure you watch for those. Also, thank you for letting me be on the show, Drew, talking about this stuff. I absolutely love it, and just, man, it was just so much. Also wanted to shout out, you see over my shoulder there, my dad's flag and everything. That I just wanted to let you guys know about that as well. And just thank you again for letting me on. And the way you guys, you tweet about me, you call me Mr. Old School and stuff. I just really appreciate all that stuff, you guys, really, and appreciate all the fans that listen to us. And it's called the Superior Rule Set and everything. I'm just really appreciative of it. I love you guys. Really, it's awesome. And just, this is a fantastic show. I can't wait for this 2023. The new golden era is here. Everything that you guys said, I just can't wait to see it come to fruition. It's just, man, it's just fun. I can't wait to watch the next show with you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Jay Chris, I know you got some great things coming up. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, I mean, I would basically say the same for you, because you got some great things coming up with MMA Sucker, don't you not?
Well, once I get my new laptop, then I will. Right now, not anymore. For a hiatus for me.
And just for the time being, I get that. But yeah, I got some things coming up with Focus Fights Audio. I'm pretty sure all of y'all would be, interested in checking it out. Y'all can go ahead and follow us on the newly reformatted Focus Fights Twitter account at Focus Fights, or the newly reformatted Focus Fights Audio Twitter account, which is at Focus Fights _AUD. So yeah, y'all can check us out both on there. But most importantly, our hearts go out to those who have been laid off by SB Nation and the members of VOX Media. But still, though, I mean, it's great to realize that we are independent media contributors. We don't do this shit for the money. We just do this for the love of the fight. We just do this for, I guess, the love of the game.
Amen.
And the bitches.
And
that's for you guys. I'm already.
You're tied up, J Wolf. You can't say that. I'm sorry, you can't say that.
And you know what? I think the best resolution for a lot of the people that have been fired by SB Sports Blog Nation and Vox Media is that they need to not only unionize, but get on platforms like this. Help us out a little bit. Maybe get on and make a podcast of your own, like what Chris Aguilar is trying to do with Cage Warriors. Make sure, get your own way just to make a way, so to speak, is what I'm trying to say. Don't let what corporate America tell you to do. Don't let what folks and entities like SB Nation tell you to do, because if they're basically trying to rule you and you're trying to be your own person, you're going to get fired 9 times out of 10. But point of the matter is, we're independent media. Y'all should support independent media, and y'all should support entities like this, because to be honest, we just love everything that is about the Superior Rule Set. But more importantly than all that, as Lenny Hart, who's going to be coming back to the fold during the soccer season for Rizin, can attest to. And of course, no matter what, we love our fans. We love y'all supporting us. And we hope that y'all will come back to our fold and listen to us for more of some of this Superior Rule Set goodness that is the We Are Rising podcast.
Yes.
Andrew, take us home.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for a great 2022. Hopefully 2023 will be just as good. Lots of soccer kicks and stomps and knees to the head. That's for you, J Wolf. That's for you.
Oh, thanks, brother. And total 6 elbows, the entire Superior Rule Set.
Oh, okay, 12 to 6 elbows as well.